Hey, what's up, guys? This is Jeff, and welcome to Coding with Jeff. In this very first video, we are going to be diving headfirst into HTML, and I'm going to be showing you how to get started learning HTML. Now, I am currently learning HTML, so what I hope to do is pass along some knowledge that I have gained as I am learning it. This will help me to remember what I'm learning, and it will teach you a couple of things, hopefully. So, depending on where you're starting at, if you're a very beginner and you need to get everything set up, then I'm going to tell you what you're going to need to be able to follow along with every video in this series. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to create an entire series and I'm going to break it into small chunks. That way, if you need some information about a certain topic, you won't have to fast forward through a long 2 or 3 hour video. You'll just be able to go directly to that topic, learn that information, and then progress forward as you go. Okay, so one of the things that you are going to need is what I have pulled up here in front of us. It is called Visual Studio Code, and it is a free download. You can go to the description of this video. I have a link down below where you'll be able to download that. Depending on if you have a Windows or a Mac or whatever you have, you'll want to make sure you get this set up right. Okay, so head over to the website, download Visual Studio Code. Make sure to pause this video and then rejoin us when you have Visual Studio Code on your computer. Okay. All right. So once you have Visual Studio Code, what we are going to need to do is we're going to need to create a folder so that we can keep all of our work inside of it and hopefully keep it very organized. All right. So we're going to go to our desktop. We'll right click on our desktop with our mouse. So right click and go to New and then go to Folder. Now you can call this folder something like Coding with Jeff or whatever you want to call it. Okay, I'm just going to call it Coding with Jeff. Just call it something where you're going to be able to remember what it's called whenever you see it. Okay, now inside that folder, what we want to do is create a new folder. All right, so we're going to go up here to the top left and we're going to click on New and then we're going to click on Folder. Okay, now what I want you to call this folder is Projects. All right, so we're going to call it Projects because we are actually going to be doing a project. Okay, so we're going to be doing as our very first project a storybook because that's the project that I've learned how to do. So that's what we're going to do. So once you have that folder set up, I think you'll be in good shape. You may want to create another new folder just for notes. Okay, so we'll just call this folder Notes. All right. All right, so once you have those two folders set up, you'll be in good shape. So you can exit out of there and head back over to your Visual Studio Code. Okay, so once you have your folder all set up, what we are going to do is we're going to go up here to File and we are going to Open Folder, and you're going to go to Desktop where you started that folder, where you created that folder, and you're going to click on the name of that folder. And the first thing I want you to open, let's just open the Notes folder because there are a few things that I want to teach you first before we just dive straight into this project. Okay, so we're going to start with the basics. I'm going to run you through some basic HTML, some stuff you're going to want to know. These are your building blocks. This is what's going to help you to really grasp the concept of HTML. All right, so we're going to select this notes folder. So just highlight it. Don't double click it. Just highlight it and then select folder. Okay, that's going to open your notes folder in Visual Studio Code. All right, so once you have your notes folder open, we're going to create a new file. Okay, so you're going to go to this first option right here, click it, and then it's going to allow you to create a name for that file. Okay, so this very first video, I'm going to be teaching you about HTML boilerplate content. All right, so let's call this boilerplate. .html. All right, and then you can just hit enter and it's going to create that file for you, okay? All right, so now if you notice, if you go back to that file on your desktop and you open it up and you go to notes, you should have a file in there called Boilerplate HTML. Now this file will actually open on the web. All you'll have to do is just double click it, but you don't want to do that right now because there's nothing in it. All right, so what we have to do is we have to create some content to go in it. So let's go back over to Visual Studio Code, and I'm going to teach you a shortcut to create the HTML boilerplate content. All right, so what is the boilerplate content? Let's first get it up here on our screen so that we can talk about it. So to get the boilerplate content, we are going to hold down the shift key and press the number 1 key on the top of your keyboard for the exclamation point. Okay, so it's the same exact way you would create an exclamation point. And then with that first option highlighted, you just click on the tab key. All right, push the tab key. And that will create your HTML boilerplate content. All right, so what is this exactly that we're looking at? Because it looks like a foreign language to me. All right, so it's actually very simple when it all comes down to it. This first line right here is the type of document we're creating. So this says doc type, that's HTML. Okay, so this is an HTML document. Every HTML document has to have this boilerplate content in order for it to be read by a web browser. Okay, so think about HTML as plans to build a house. You have to have your roof, your windows, your doors. You might want to know what the location of your bedroom is, things like that. That is the exact same thing that HTML does for your web pages. Okay, so it tells your web browser what everything is, where it all goes. Okay, same as building a house. All right, so the next line is HTML lang equals en. All right, so what that means is that the language of this HTML document is English. Okay, so that's what that means. The next section you have is your head. Okay, so up in your head, think about this like the human body. Okay, so you have a head, you have your body, and you have a footer, right? So we'll add the footer in later on. And I'll show you all that cool stuff. It'll be in a later video, but for right now, just think about this as the human body. So nobody can see what's in your head, right? So the same applies to an HTML document. Nobody can see what's inside of these head elements, right? Okay, so the first one is a meta char set equals UTF-8. So that is just a character code that is read by the web browser to tell it it's in UTF-8. All right. Now the next thing is meta name equals viewport. All right. So your viewport is your screen or the device that you're viewing the content on. Okay. So this can be your laptop, your desktop, your phone, your tablet, whatever you're viewing the content on. TV, it doesn't matter. That is your viewport. Okay. Now the next to it, you have content equals width equals device width. And then initial scale equals 1.0. So basically what this is saying is that your content should only take up the width of your device and your initial scale should be set to 1.0. All right. Next, you have your document title. So what this is when you have a tab, like say this one right here, it is going to this is what's going to show up when you have a tab open in a web browser. Okay, so this is the only part in the head that is visible to the user that is using your web browser or viewing this document through a web browser. Okay, so what we want to do is we'll highlight this and we'll call this boilerplate HTML content. All right, we'll call it something simple like that. And when we open this, then we'll be able to see that in a web browser. I'll go ahead and show you. I'll see if I can show you what it'll look like. All right, yeah. So up here, you can see boilerplate HTML content. All right, that's what we just called it. That's what it shows up on a web browser tab. Okay, so we'll close that back down. We'll continue our mission here. All right, next is your body. Now, this is where your actual content is going to show up. So let's talk about something that we'll talk about in the next video, but we'll go ahead and get a jump on it just so that I can show you how your content will show up. Okay, so let's say we want to call this boilerplate HTML content. Let's just keep it congruent, go with the same stuff here. All right, so this H1 will be your title of your page. Okay, so anything that shows up in your body tags is going to show up on your web document. Okay, so we'll do a preview here, and now you can see this is what our web page will actually look like. You can see our boilerplate content in the tab up here. You can see our boilerplate HTML content heading that we just created to title this page with. Okay, so don't get these two confused. Remember that whatever is in the head shows up here in a tab, and this title right here is the only part of the head that can be seen. Okay, now the H1 is a different type of title, and it can be seen in your actual web page. Okay, so we'll talk about headings in the next video, but for now I wanted you to get a firm grasp on how to create this boilerplate content so that your documents will be able to be read by your web browser. Okay, so after you create your boilerplate content and all the stuff in your body, then you're going to simply have your closing and of your body and your closing of your HTML document. Okay, so in the next video, we're going to be talking about HTML elements. So there's several elements right here within our boilerplate content that we can explore, but we're also going to be exploring other elements such as headings. So make sure to get a grasp on how to create this HTML boilerplate content. Get familiar with it so that you know exactly where to put your content. Practice a little bit and then join us over in the next video, and let's talk about some HTML elements that are really going to make your documents come together the way that you want them to. All right, see you over there.